Enmity and beef in the rap industry are often entertaining as rappers go back and forth, dissing each other in songs and on social media. However, some rappers take it a step too far and the results are not always pleasant. It has recently become commonplace for guns to get into the mix. In some cases, fatalities are recorded. Here are 9 rappers who shot at their ops. King Von. Davon Daquan Bennett, alias King Von, is still fresh in people's minds even after his death in 2020. The Chicago rapper's private life was brought into the public domain through documentaries that painted him as one of the most deadly rappers the streets have ever known. In one of the documentaries, he was even referred to as rap's first serial killer. One thing is certain, his ops did not have an easy time. Although there have been many shootings that have been linked to King Von, 2 have been confirmed by cops. First up is the infamous female assassin Gakira Barnes, alias K.I. She was a fierce shooter who caught her first body by the young age of 14 and might have been responsible for as many as 20 murders. K.I. was feared and hated by her ops that they would even go on interviews to acknowledge her.
K.I. was like a pest.
She was even rumored to have killed one of the Black Disciples' most loved and feared shooters, O.D. Perry, as she posted photos with a gun that resembled O.D.'s. It is rumored that the gun was stolen the night O.D. Perry died. King Von had made it his mission to take care of K.I. once and for all. He was cunning in his methods as he tried to befriend her through social media in an effort to try to make her lower her guard. However, K.I. was smart and never fell for it. Frustrated, Von decided to slide on her the old-fashioned way. On April 11th, a hooded gunman shot Barnes in front of a home in the 6,400 block of South Eberhard. K.I. was hit 9 times in the mouth, neck, and chest before running and collapsing on a neighbor's doorstep and passing out. She later succumbed to her injuries at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. King Von was arrested in connection with the shooting after he was identified by eyewitnesses, but was soon released as police were unable to meet the burden of proof in court. Since there was a lack of strong evidence to convict Von, the charges were dropped. Years later, after King Von died in a tragic shooting in Atlanta, reports surfaced showing that Von had indeed killed K.I. in the documents. Police stated that the investigation revealed that the victim was killed by Davon Bennett. Apart from that, police reports emerged in 2023 showing that K.I.'s brother, FBG Butter, who was present when his sister was shot, had confessed to cops that Von had indeed killed his sister. According to the documents, Cooperator 3 was also present for and witnessed the murder of his sister Gakira Barnes by O-Block member Davon Bennett. However, in interviews, Buddha has maintained that Von did not kill his sister. Seemingly, many think that he simply doesn't want to give his op the credit.
Von didn't kill Kai. I got shot too. I was right there. I got shot too. I saw the fucker who popped us. He did.
The second highly publicized shooting involving King Von was in Atlanta. On February 5th, 2019, Alexander Weatherspoon suffered a gunshot wound to his leg. Luckily, he survived. He was a member of the Vice Lords gang, a popular gang in Chicago, meaning they were rivals with Von's gang, the Black Disciples. King Von and Lil Durk were both arrested in connection to the shooting. Initially, Lil Durk was the main suspect in the case, as detectives had allegedly obtained footage of him shooting Weatherspoon.
You see Mr. Banks' arm out the window firing several shots at the victim.
However, after Von died, all the charges against Lil Durk were dropped, and it turns out that Von would not have beaten the charge. In a statement released by the DA, Mrs. Fonnie Willis, if co-defendant Davon Bennett, aka King Von, had not died in 2020, he would have been indicted for this incident. FBG Cash. Tristan Hamilton, alias FBG Cash, never wanted the death and violence that was attached to rap music in Chicago. After getting arrested at 18 and serving time for armed robbery, Cash had seen the horrors of jail and decided that it was not the life he wanted. When he came back home, he found that people had drawn battle lines and were now killing each other in gang wars.
I came home, the had bad vibes between each other. So it was like shit that you couldn't even come back from.
However, he did not want to take part in shooting at Opps. In fact, he was publicly called out by his own gang members for never sliding on his ops, an accusation he never tried to deny. Cash had even publicly stated that he was not a fan of the black-on-black violence that was becoming prevalent in his community.
Like I could really care less, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I ain't really with no black-on-black violence, to be honest.
Luckily, he was kept off the streets by his interest in music. Immediately he came home, he found FBG Duck had started the Flyboy gang and had started making a name for themselves in the industry. Cash wanted in on the action.
I came home and it was that. I saw the craft they done made for themselves, and then I was like, damn, I want some too.
While this path would keep him off the streets, it would also lead him down a dark path, a path that would eventually see him caught up in the things that he had tried so hard to avoid: violence and death. After the death of FBG Duck on August 4th, 2020, all eyes were on Cash to lead the Flyboy gang and represent the gangster disciples in their dissing war with the black disciples. This meant that Cash had to start insulting his ops, something that would place a target on his back. From claiming that he had slept with Chief Keef's mom to taking disrespectful photos at Von's mural were antics that kept the fans entertained but greatly antagonized his ops. Lil Durk came to the defense of his late friend in his song Computer Murderers, where he raps sneaking pics by Von Mural like Lil Bro won't come out and spin. Cash was quick to reply, using Durk's beat on Computer Murderers, and continued dissing King Von, rapping, "Von got clapped, you had us thinking he was stressed." Seemingly fed up with his antics, Lil Durk posted a cryptic message on social media that many have later come to think was directed to FBG Cash. "Don't diss Thang if you be lingering and chasing won't end well. That's March," the Instagram story read. In an interview on the Drea O Show, Cash revealed that he had been involved in a shooting where it seemed like the female he had been with had set him up. On the 9th of June, 2022, Cash was picked up by the same female and headed for a nightclub. After the club, the rapper took her to a friend's house to sleep with her. At around 5 in the morning, Cash drove the car home with the girl in the back seat. According to her, she was tired and wanted to sleep. A few minutes later, Cash stopped at the stop sign on the 1600 block of West 81st when a black sedan cut him off. 3 armed men jumped out of the car and took aim at the rapper. There was no time to react as they opened fire on Cash. However, the rapper did not go down without a fight as he jumped out of the car, firing at his assailants. However, enemy fire proved too much to handle, and he was eventually gunned down. The female he was with also sustained multiple gunshot wounds, which reports claim could have been caused by Cash. Upon realizing that he had been set up, he allegedly turned to her and shot her before trying to escape. DaBaby. DaBaby's music career has been one interesting ride filled with controversy after controversy. From hitting a woman at a concert to endorsing Kanye West for president, DaBaby has had his fair share of time on the blogs for the wrong reasons. However, since he is on this list, it can only mean one thing. The rapper has been involved in shootings, and in his case, his ops were on the receiving end. Interestingly, the rapper has not been involved in 1 but 2 shooting incidents. The most tragic incident happened back in 2018 and has haunted DaBaby to this day as footage on the incident surfaced showing that the rapper may have gotten off with a slap on the wrist. On November 5th, the Charlotte rapper was out shopping with his 2 children and their mother at Walmart. That day ended with cops being called into the store and finding the body of 19-year-old Jalen Dominique Craig. The rapper alleged that Craig and his friend Henry Douglas had tried to rob him of his jewelry while brandishing a weapon and threatened his family. The rapper posted a video in which he didn't admit whether he shot a gun or was in possession of a firearm. However, he detailed the circumstances of the shooting and the gunshots that protected him. "If them gunshots ain't go off, my daughter could have got hit. Son could have got hit me. Lawyers telling me not to say something and all that. 2 walk down on you and your whole family, threaten y'all, whip out on y'all. Let me see what y'all going to." According to the rapper, he was out shopping for clothes when the men approached him and started antagonizing him. "These see me buying baby clothes and these want to come and show me how tough they is and come on, my quit playing. I really don't give a how y'all feel. Tried to take my life in front of my 1-year-old daughter." At first, the rapper was arrested and charged for murder. However, the charge was dropped and he was charged with misdemeanor carrying a concealed gun without a permit and was sentenced to a suspended sentence with 12 months probation. According to the DA's office, the murder charge was dropped because a key civilian witness was unavailable, and without that witness, the state could not proceed with the case. Despite this, footage of the incident surfaced 4 years later and shows that the rapper was the aggressor as he lunged at the victim. Craig can be seen reaching for a firearm from his waistband but tucking it back in, then attempting to break up the fight between the rapper and Douglas. 4 years earlier, the rapper had told police that Craig and Douglas initiated the fight, saying the pair had been lurking nearby before finally approaching him, threatening him and pulling out a firearm. But according to Douglas, who traded punches with the rapper, the incident began after DaBaby became annoyed that he had been recognized by Douglas and Craig, and he demanded they go outside into the parking lot and fight. After the video surfaced and caused outrage, the DA's office responded by saying that they had agreed not to charge the rapper as prosecutors could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did not act in self-defense. DaBaby took to Twitter to react to the video, saying, "The praying on me can't fuck with the people praying for me. Pushisti."
Broad daylight bullets. two hit over $500,000 in exotic cars. And it involves a recording artist, Pooh Shiesty.
On October 9th, 2020, 3 vehicles pulled up into a condo parking lot on 9700 East Bay Harbor Drive. First, a green McLaren and black Mercedes Maybach pulled up. These belonged to the rapper and his affiliates. Later, another Mercedes-Benz pulled up into the parking lot. What happened next would see 2 people get shot and Lontrell Donald Williams Jr., alias Pooh Shiesty, end up behind bars. According to an arrest report, one of the victims said they had met the rapper at the location to sell him a pair of Air Jordan 4 shoes. The other victim said they were meeting to sell him marijuana and receive a payment for the McLaren they had rented to him. One of the victims said he was speaking with the rapper in the McLaren when 2 men got out of the Maybach and approached them with guns. Pooh Shiesty told the victim to leave the car, and as he got out, he was shot in the buttocks. The other victim was walking to their own car when they heard 2 shots and fell to the ground. One of the victims then drove his friend, who had sustained a gunshot wound, to a nearby hospital. Ironically, the rapper left behind a Louis Vuitton bag full of cash. After cops investigated the incident, with the help of CCTV and social media posts, arrest warrants were issued for Shiesty and 2 other suspects. Apparently, detectives searched Shiesty's Instagram account and found photos of him posing with the McLaren, another of him with the Louis Vuitton bag, and another of him showing cash, including a $100 bill whose serial number matched one of the bills found in the bag at the scene. The rapper later agreed to turn himself in. Shiesty was then booked into the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Center in West Miami-Dade. He was denied bond and was charged with armed robbery, with a firearm, aggravated assault, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon doing great bodily harm, aggravated assault with a firearm, and theft. Luckily, due to the conflicting statements given by the 2 victims, Shiesty's lawyer was later able to get him out on a $30,000 bond. A few months later, the rapper was caught up in yet another shooting incident in a nightclub.
See rapper under arrest, accused of shooting a security guard at a South Florida nightclub. Police say 22-year-old Lontrell Williams, who goes by that stage name Pooh Shiesty, was performing at King of Diamonds last month when someone knocked money out of his pocket. A crowd jumped in trying to collect the cash when Williams reportedly brandished a gun and shot the guard in the ankle.
According to eyewitnesses, the security staff was escorting Pooh out of the building when, out of nowhere, there was an altercation between Pooh and security staff over the money that had fallen from his pants. During the altercation, the rapper took his gun and fired off a round toward the ground, then fled the scene before cops arrived. Luckily, there were no fatalities. However, one security guard was shot in the right ankle and was taken to a nearby hospital. The rapper was later arrested after surrendering to authorities and was booked on an aggravated battery charge. Currently, the rapper is behind bars after he pleaded guilty to 1 federal charge of conspiracy to possess a firearm in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes, which stemmed from the 2020 shooting incident. 6'9". Chief Keef escaped gang violence in Chicago, only to find himself being shot at in his new home in New York. What started as disses in songs soon turned into an attempted murder, and one artist was at the center of it all. This was none other than Daniel Hernandez, alias 6ix9ine. The details surrounding the origin of their beef are complicated, as they did not start going at each other directly. It all started when GBE rapper Tado allegedly laid hands on his girlfriend for getting close to 6ix9ine. The rapper posted a video of a FaceTime conversation they had to social media. Cuban showed off her injuries. Later, a video surfaced of 6ix9ine and Tado arguing over the phone, with Tado warning, "I kill people." This is where Chief Keef enters the picture. The following month, after this altercation, Trippie Redd, who has beefed with 6ix9ine in the past, teamed up with Chief Keef and Tado on the new song "I Kill People," which referenced Tado's staunch warning to 6ix9ine. The Brooklyn rapper did not take this too kindly, as he posted a video on his social media hitting back at his ops. Nobody give a fuck about what y'all did 3 years ago. I don't think y'all understand what I was talking about in my last video. What y'all did 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Living y'all raps, y'all don't do. I know that personally. He then went ahead to diss Chief Keef and Lil Reese directly, and even went as far as to threaten them. What y'all gonna give me? 48 hours? You'll wait 2 months, this shit gonna die. Where? Where I'ma die? Chief Keef, Lil Reese, all them are y'all talking about? Are all y'all talking about? I bet y'all won't pull up to New Jersey now. Jersey ain't even my city, but my brothers out here, you heard me? While many may have thought that the rappers were simply beefing in an attempt to stir up controversy and stay relevant, it would soon turn ugly, as 6ix9ine decided to throw the first real punch. On June 2nd, 2018, Chief Keef was the victim of a shooting outside of the W Hotel in Times Square in New York City at around 6 a.m. But luckily, the Chicago rapper walked away unscathed. According to the police report, Chief Keef was staying at the the hotel and returned to the location after spending the night out. Upon his arrival, multiple shots were fired in his direction, with none hitting their mark. 2 black males wearing hoodies were seen fleeing the scene following the shots being fired. CCTV footage obtained by detectives showed the men following the Chicago rapper to the China Chalet restaurant and driving off in a van. The suspects then parked the van around the block of the hotel Keefe was staying at, and when he came outside, they fired shots. The plot to kill Chief Keefe was uncovered 1 year later when 6ix9ine and his gang, the 9 Trey Gangsters, were caught up in a RICO. In exchange for a lighter sentence, 6ix9ine agreed to testify against his gang. One of those caught up was Kentea McKenzie, alias Kuda B. 6ix9ine confessed that he had tried to have fellow rapper Chief Keef killed. He admitted that he offered $20,000 to McKenzie to carry out the shooting. After the shooting, McKenzie allegedly met with 6ix9ine, settling for a payment of $10,000 for the failed attack. Lil Durk. Lil Durk has not yet been directly indicted for a shooting, but if word on the street is anything to go by, he might be facing a RICO charge real soon. Leaked documents from the feds show that cops know that Lil Durk is a high-ranking member of the Black Disciples. In 2019, Durk was arrested for allegedly shooting at Alexander Weatherspoon in Atlanta. His arrest was full of drama, as he even called a TV station to declare that he would be turning himself over to the authorities and declaring his innocence.
You're about to surrender as we speak.
Yeah.
How come?
Because I have nothing to hide. Like, I have nothing to run from.
Did you do it? Did you shoot this man? Did you commit the other crimes of which you're accused?
No.
King Von and Bezu were also arrested in connection to the shooting, and it turns out that the rappers had robbed Alexander Weatherspoon of a gold chain and $30,000 before shooting him. Apart from that, they also stole the victim's vehicle. All the evidence seemed to point to Lil Durk, from CCTV footage of him firing the weapon to witnesses on the scene saying they saw him with a weapon. Jeffrey Churchill, a detective from the Atlanta Police Department, took to the stand where he revealed that he had spoken with a witness who was with the 2 rappers the night of the shooting. According to the female witness, a fight broke out in a car that was in front of them. She then saw Durk pull out a firearm, which forced her to run around the building where she heard shots fired. She later saw the victim in a pool of blood. However, she never saw who fired the shots. The most damning evidence against Lil Durk was CCTV footage that showed Durk's hands sticking out of the SUV and firing his weapon at Weatherspoon.
You see Mr. Banks' arm out the window firing several shots at the victim.
However, Durk's defense was on hand to challenge the video evidence. According to the rapper's lawyer, the CCTV footage did not show the rapper pulling the trigger. Luckily, the case was later dropped and the rapper was cleared of all charges. At this time, Von had been killed in a tragic shooting outside a club in Atlanta. It turns out that it may have been Von who shot Alexander Weatherspoon that morning. A statement from the DA's office revealed that Von would have been charged if he was still alive. While Durk's name was cleared by the courts, the streets did not seem eager to accept this fact. Many thought that he had either snitched on Von or passed the blame on his late friend. Since Von was not here to defend himself, Durk was let off the hook. Controversial public figure Charleston White was on hand to speak his mind on the situation.
Lil Baby, they unfollowed Gunna.
Lil Durk told on King Von. That's how he beat his charge.
Even former O Block member Jay Hood had similar opinions regarding the whole situation. According to him, Durk must have told the cops something behind closed doors to get off scot-free.
If I'm with you, we do something, you don't report it, but you know I did it, and you don't report it, we go on about our life. You as liable as to the case as I am. What I'm finna go down for, you finna go down for, unless when you get in this behind these doors, you tell me something that I don't know. And then probably a little bit more.
However, with no paperwork, it is impossible to know exactly whether Durk passed the blame or snitched on Von. Lil Del. Most likely inspired by fellow rapper Tay K, Cordelius LaShawn Dias, alias Lil Del, decided to skip town after he participated in a fatal shooting outside a Florida nightclub. Lil Del was affiliated with the Bro Gang, whose main rivals were the Cash Gang. While these gangs are not very well known in the larger hip-hop community like the Gangster Disciples or Black Disciples, they were already on the cops' radar even before the incident that made national news and were already considered dangerous. The beef between the two reached its peak in May 2019 after a shootout that left an innocent woman dead. The incident happened during Memorial Day weekend. After establishing that their ops were near the Platinum nightclub in Pensacola, Florida, Lil Del and his mates pulled up up with their guns intending to take care of business. The rapper, who was a teenager at the time, pulled up with 3 others and let off more than 40 shots from 7 different guns into a large crowd at a parking lot near the club. Well, having a gun is one thing, and finding one's target is another. Even after letting off a barrage of bullets into a crowded parking lot, the 3 young shooters were able to miss their intended targets. Unfortunately, they shot an innocent bystander, Elizabeth Harris, and quickly fled the scene. The victim, who was caught by a stray bullet, was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to her wound. Harris was heading home after leaving a concert. Cops launched an investigation into the incident and quickly found out that it was caused by beef between the 2 gangs. Although it took a few months, cops were able to make 3 arrests. These included Taquan Warren, Marquisha James, and Dante Walker. Walker is considered an accessory to the crime for riding with the shooters after they committed the crime, while James and Warren are facing first-degree murder, attempted murder, and aggravated assault charges. James and Warren are possibly looking at life in prison if they're convicted. In the spirit of Tay K, Lil Del decided to escape being caught by cops by skipping town and took refuge somewhere in Georgia. Meanwhile, one of the young shooters started truth-telling. According to police reports, Lil Del did not bring any regular gun to the shootout. The rapper allegedly brought a rocket launcher to the scene. He was really intent on finishing the beef once and for all. Some reports claimed that he tried to fire it, but it was misfire, while other reports said that he actually fired the deadly weapon. Although the rapper did not make any stupid moves like Tay K by releasing a song while on the run, he was soon arrested by the Cobb County Sheriff's Office and U.S. Marshals Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force at the Wynwood Apartments off Shenandoah Trail. In addition to the first-degree murder charge, the rapper is also facing charges of aggravated assault, possession of an altered firearm, and criminal mischief. Lil Del was first held in Cobb Jail, but was later extradited to Florida to face trial. Luckily, he was released on a $223,000 bond, which he had no problems posting, and was back in the studio in no time. The rapper should have known that the technology at the disposal of law enforcement was going to see him end up behind bars one way or another. His best bet would have been to move to a different country, not a different state. However, being young, just as Tay K was when he was on the run, he was bound to be traced and arrested within no time. FBG Wooski. The story of Marvel Williams, alias FBG Wooski, is one that is not told enough. His actions, according to many, may have sparked what is today known as the Chirac War. The most prevalent story about the Chirac War and its origins revolves around the death of Shondale Gregory, alias Tuka, who was shot and killed on January 12, 2011, while waiting for a bus on the 600 block of East 63rd Street. This death was followed by that of Odie Perry. Both deaths caused a lot of hurt on both sides that intensified the hate they had towards each other. However, before all this, FBG Wooski committed a murder that would forever change the dynamics of gang violence among the gangs. Initially, killing the younger guys was frowned upon. The young guys would use their fists to settle their differences, and the older guys never got involved in these types of beef. Soon, the young guys got their hands on guns, and all hell broke loose. In one of the altercations, a gun was fired and one person was fatally wounded. This was none other than Reezy, a member of Wick City. To make matters worse, the shooter was FBG Wooski, who was 12 years old at the time. Wooski's action escalated the feud from physical altercations between the teenagers to an all-out armed affair between everyone in the 2 gangs. There were no more restrictions leading to the death of Tuka, who was only 15 years old when he died. Wooski was banished from Parkway Gardens, where he was living with his big brother Big Mike. His big brother was a BD while he was a GD. Before Reezy's death, Wooski enjoyed protection from his ops. However, after his actions, even his brother could not protect him. It wouldn't take long for someone close to Wooski to get killed in the war. In October 2012, Wooski's 17-year-old cousin, Richard Model, was shot and killed in the 6,300 block of South Rhodes Avenue. That day, Modell and his 18-year-old cousin, who was identified as Miles, were on their way to meet a girl in the West Woodlawn neighborhood on the south side when someone walked up and opened fire. Modell was taken to Stroger Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries, while Miles was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital with multiple gunshot wounds and remained in a medically induced coma for weeks. In 2018, one of Wooski's friends, rapper Vantrese Chris, alias Dusky the Man, was also shot and killed by an op. Being a loved figure in the community, O-Block members knew that the funeral would be jam-packed with ops, making it a perfect opportunity to strike, which they did.
We've learned a little bit more about the victims this afternoon. There were a total of 6 people who were shot outside the church. It was a scene of pandemonium right after that happened. The Many of those people who were shot were leaving a funeral inside the church.
During the funeral, Muop, DQ, and 2 others pulled up. Muop and DQ opened fire on the mourners. Some of the gang members mourning their fallen soldier, including Wooski, also pulled out their firearms and shot back. The operation was starting to look like a failure as no one was getting hit. However, as the attackers were about to give up, Wooski was shot in the head and fell to the ground. Seeing this, the shooters got back in their getaway car and sped off. Wooski was not the only one shot, as 6 other people also sustained gunshot wounds. Luckily, everyone survived, including Wooski, who was shot in the head. Latacash Desto.
She went by Latacash Desto, but her real name, Destiny Govin. Houston police say the 25-year-old was shot and killed in Houston.
Latacash Desto, whose real name is Destiny Govin, is the only female rapper on this list. The 25-year-old rapper from Memphis, Tennessee, was shot and killed on September 24, 2022, at 5500 Richmond Eve. There are 2 theories surrounding the rapper's death. The first one involves her father, while the second one revolves around her Instagram activity. Latacash was a rising Memphis rapper who was signed with Lil Uzi Vert. She started her career by first singing with Lil Uzi Vert, but did not realize her full potential because of her tragic death. On September 24, 2022, Latacash was driving a Porsche SUV with a 20-year-old female passenger at around 2:30 a.m. when a 4-door sedan pulled alongside the SUV at a red light. According to the cops, 2 men hopped out of the car and opened fire on the woman. Latacash was quick to draw her firearm and shoot back, catching one of the attackers in the abdomen. Unfortunately, the rapper was shot multiple times, robbed, and pronounced dead at the scene. The female passenger was transported to a local hospital with a single gunshot wound. Christian Isaiah Williams was arrested shortly after the shooting. Williams was shot by Latacash during the incident and was then located by cops in an adjacent parking lot, suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken to a local hospital before being taken into custody. A second suspect, Jeremiah Smith, was later arrested and charged with murder for the fatal shooting of the rising rapper. Police first put out a report stating that the rapper had been killed during an armed robbery. This may have been true for several reasons. First, the rapper was fond of posting photos while flexing large amounts of cash and expensive jewelry. Reports suggest that she was gunned down after she posed in Instagram photos with loads of cash. The robbers may have thought that she was carrying large sums of money after seeing the post and thought she was an easy target. The robbers may have tried to get the money from her car without hurting her or the passenger, but Latacash pulled her gun and fired, which caused the robbers to retaliate, killing the rapper, because if it was a planned murder, she would never have found the chance to pull out her firearm and shoot Williams. The second theory surrounding the rapper's death involves her father, Hernandez Govin. After his daughter's death, Govin took to Twitter to post a suspicious message. "I think I cursed you, Destiny, with my lifestyle. I apologize, baby," he posted. It is important to keep in mind that on November 10th, 2022, a third suspect was charged in connection with the murder of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. This was none other than Hernandez Govin. The 43-year-old was arrested and charged with arranging the murder of Young Dolph, who was killed in 2021. According to police reports, Govin was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and criminal attempt first-degree murder, which he pleaded not guilty to. The rapper was buying cookies at Makeda's Butter Cookies when a gunman drove up and shot through the window. According to the reports on the streets, a green light was issued for the female rappers to be killed because of her father's role in Young Dolph's death. While some rappers shot at their ops and lived to tell the tale, others were not so lucky as they died in the crossfire. If you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content.